everyone, it's Lisa Ross, also known as Paper Daisy Creations, and I am so excited because today we're going to be combining Clue 1 and Clue 2 on the Line Dance cowl, and you're going to get to see where we're going with this design. So let's get started. To begin, I want to be combining my stitches so that they all go onto one needle, with one exception. So I have Clue 1 here. Now, of course, mine is a mini version. I used worsted weight yarn to make the stitches larger, and I'm going to use different colors just so that you can see what we're doing a little bit better. But Clue 1, you will have these beautiful little garlands worked across here. Clue 1 has a straight edge, or it will be straight once it's blocked. And what I need to do with Clue 1 is flip it over so that the purl side is showing. I want the wrong side facing up because we're going to be using this needle to knit with, and I need to be sure you have it oriented correctly. Now, if you only have one set of your gauge needles, meaning whichever needle gave you gauge to knit this project, you need to have the gauge needles on Clue 1. So if these stitches are on hold, this is where your gauge needles need to be, the needles that you're using for this project. You can put the stitches from Clue 2 onto a different set of needles to work this set of instructions. So you can use a smaller set of circular needles than the gauge that you used if you are short on needles or cables. I have quite a few, so I am good to go. So I have Clue 1. This was knit in C1 as the main color. I have the wrong side facing up. Clue 2, you'll see I have that little break in the center of the triangle. This is the clue we just finished. And I have my yarn attached, my little yarn tail. I attach that to the back of the work. So that's going to stay on the back, and I'm going to have the front side facing up. So I have, this is Clue 2, and I have my working yarn attached. Now you'll see that I went ahead and cut this, but that was for simplicity within the video. Yours will still be fully attached. All right, so this is how it should look. Clue 1 with your little garlands is going to be wrong side facing up. You should see all of these purl bumps right here, and you need to have your gauge needles. This needle right here is what we're going to use to do the knitting. So whatever needles gave you gauge for the project, those are your gauge needles. These stitches are Clue 1. And I'm ready to work these stitches. I've got the working yarn still attached. Mine is broken, but yours will not be. So I'm going to push those stitches to the edge of the needle, ready to work those. And I'm going to be using this needle right here. So this is the needle from Clue 1. It's attached to Clue 1. These are my gauge needles, and I'm going to work these stitches. I'm going to begin using the working yarn that's attached, and I'm going to purl 4. Now, you will see that I've not combined any stitches yet. Clue 1 is still here, wrong side facing up. Clue 2 is right side facing up, and I've worked a purl 4. At this point, you can break that color. And now you're going to be using color 1, which was the main color for Clue 1. I'm actually going to use a different color just so that you can see this row very clearly. I'm going to use this white yarn, but you are using color 1, and you're going to knit through the back loop, slip your marker, make one left. So I lift up this strand, I use my right needle and go from back to front and put it on there on the left needle, and then I knit it through the back loop, and that's my make one left. And now I'm going to knit until I come to 2 stitches before the marker. Obviously you're going to have a lot more stitches than what I have. This is just a mini version so that you can see everything much more clearly. I come to 2 stitches before the marker, and now I'm going to knit 2 together. And what we're doing with these rows is keeping the stitch count the same, but working these stitches on the bias. So I've worked a make one left, and I'm pairing that at the end with a knit two together decrease. And so those two increase and decrease will cancel each other out, meaning that this is going to be an even stitch count. There are no increases or decreases once they've canceled each other out. I'm going to slip my marker. And at this point, I need this stitch to be on this needle. So I'm going to slip that stitch with the yarn and back and put it on this needle. And I'm going to use that in just a minute. What I want to do right now is take all of these remaining stitches, and I can either keep them on a cord. So if you have interchangeable needles and you'd like to keep them on a cord, you can absolutely do that. I am actually going to put these stitches on hold. So I'm going to put them on scrap yarn by taking a tapestry needle, threading it through my scrap yarn, and then just moving these stitches onto the scrap yarn. And the reason that I'm doing that is just so that those stitches don't get stretched out and they stay on hold until I'm ready to work them again. All right, so I've got my tapestry needle, and I'm going to be sliding those stitches onto this scrap yarn. So to do this, I just take the tapestry needle tip to tip with the stitches that I'm moving, and I don't need the markers, so as I come to those, I can just slide them off. All right, and at this point, I have taken my stitches completely off of the needle that had held clue 2. I'm going to pull my scrap yarn through, and then I'm just going to leave enough tension. I'm going to leave enough yarn that I can create a bow right here, and then I'll be able to see those stitches like this. All right, back to the main event. Right now I have my clue 1 stitches are wrong side facing up. My clue 2 stitches are right side facing up, and I have all of my stitches on the working needle. Now, what we are going to be doing is combining these stitches with the stitches on the far needle, the one that I haven't used yet. So what I want to do is take my clue 1 stitches and slide them to the end of that needle that I haven't used yet. Right now it's wrong side facing up. But I'm going to turn my whole work, so I'm going to twist this all like that. And when I pick it up, the right side will be facing up of the clue 1 stitches. So let me show you that again. I had it like this. Wrong side is up on my clue 1 stitches, right side is up on my clue 2 stitches. I just twist the needles to face me, and when I pick it up, they're both facing right side up. And what I want to do is combine this final stitch from clue 2 onto, or with the first stitch of clue 1. So I'm going to slide that stitch back onto the left needle, and now I'm going to work an SSK. So for me, I'm going to slip, slip, knit 2 together through the back loop. So I do a modified SSK where I really only slip the first one. You can work your SSK however you would like. And now I'm going to turn to the wrong side. So at this point, both sides are right side facing up. Be sure both sides have the right side facing up because we don't want any twist right here. Now I'm going to flip the entire work to the wrong side. I'm going to slip one with yarn held in front, slip my marker, purl one, oops, knit to the marker, slip my marker, purl through the back loop, so I'm going in from back to front through that back leg of the stitch so I can purl it through the back loop, and then I purl 4. And let me turn this back to the right side so you can see what this looks like. This is how my project currently looks. Both sides should have the right side facing up. That is very important. If not, you'll need to work this step again. And we have a garter ridge right here. Now yours is going to be the same color that was used for the main color of clue 1. I made mine in white so you can see specifically that row. Yours is going to be, it'll look like this color is continuing right here. Now what we're going to be doing for this clue is working with the live stitches. You will have 55 live stitches, and those are what I have here shown in white. Okay, yours are going to be whatever your color 1 is, and they'll actually match the color 1 that's still here on the needle. So again, mine are a different color so that you can see it a little bit better in the video. But our 55 live stitches are going to be the ones that are the purl 4, the knit through the back loop, the marker. Then we'll have all the stitches between the 2 markers and 1 stitch past that final marker. Those are going to be the stitches that we're working with for the remainder of this clue. And these stitches are going to gradually get absorbed into the stitches, into the working stitches. And we're going to do that by working in SSK every right side row, combining one of these stitches with one from clue 1. So you'll see in the pattern it explains the way the stitch counts work, and I've given you stitch counts for clue 1 at the end of each section. So this is the only number that's going to decrease. This number will stay the same. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the next row just so that you can see how the patterning works. I'm going to purl 4, knit through the back loop, slip 1, make 1 left, knit to 2 stitches before the marker. So just as a reminder, we worked an increase right after the marker, and we're going to work a decrease right before the next marker, and those increase and decrease cancel each other out. So when we're doing our stitch counts, this number of working stitches will always be the same. Okay, I'm coming up to my knit 2 together. Now you'll notice this stitch that's closest to the marker, we had purled that on the previous round. So this is going to stay in stockinette stitch, and it's a good way to check. You want to be sure that that stitch closest to the marker is going to be worked in stockinette stitch for the remainder of this clue. So I'm going to knit 2 together. And what it does by being in stockinette stitch, it's going to give a nice clean line as we work those stitches. I slip my marker, I work in SSK, and I've combined one of my working stitches with 1 stitch from clue 1. So these 2 stitches are in stockinette, all the rest up to this marker are in garter stitch, and then I've got my twisted stitch and my edge stitches. Let me work the wrong side row. I slip 1 with yarn in front, slip my marker, purl 1. I'm going to knit to the marker, slip my marker, purl through the back loop, and purl 4. And that is how I work my next stitch, or my next row. Now, you'll see that I've got these 2 yarns hanging out here, these little yarn tails. If you are weaving in your ends as you go, which I know some of you do, be sure you weave them in towards the center of the triangle. Do not weave them in along the edge stitches. It's part of the mystery of this design, but I want to make sure that you're weaving them in along this center, towards the center of the work and not along the edge stitches. I'm going to flip it over so you can see where we are. We have our 2 triangles being joined, and we're gradually going to work these stitches like this, absorbing clue 1 stitches onto my needles. All right, so this is how your work looks. You should be able to have the right sides both facing up, And we're gradually going to work these stitches back and forth, keeping our stitch count here even as we gradually decrease the clue 1 stitches. Thank you so much for joining me. You can find this design and all of my patterns on Ravelry.com and PaperDaisyCreations.com. And as always, I wish you very happy knitting.